Christmas has always served a specific function inside the royal calendar. Beyond faith or family sentiment, it operates as a public signal of unity, continuity, and control. But this year, one absence carries more weight than any other. Prince Andrew does not appear anywhere in the royal Christmas picture. He will not attend Christmas at Sandringham. He did not attend the king's pre-Christmas family lunch at Buckingham Palace. There were no discreet arrivals, no background appearances, no effort to soften the omission. For a man who once walked at the center of these rituals, the silence is deliberate. The message is not subtle. Royal Christmas events rarely operate on personal preference. Invitations reflect strategy. Who appears together, who arrives separately, and who remains unseen all form part of a wider calculation. This year, the calculation appears complete. Andrew has been removed from the public-facing family unit. The exclusion became clearer in the days leading up to Christmas. While senior royals gathered at Buckingham Palace for the traditional pre-Christmas lunch, Andrew remained absent. Photographers later captured him riding alone in Windsor Great Park, wrapped against the cold, separated from the activity unfolding elsewhere. The image circulated widely. It contrasted movement and stillness, inclusion and isolation. In royal terms, it read as confirmation. This absence marks a shift from previous years. In earlier seasons, Andrew had appeared in limited settings, sometimes quietly, sometimes partially shielded. Those appearances drew criticism and forced palace officials into defensive explanations. That phase appears to have ended. The current approach focuses on clarity rather than compromise. Sources close to palace operations describe the decision as containment. The priority is protecting the institution rather than managing individual relationships. Public confidence in the monarchy remains sensitive. Every image carries consequences. Every gathering becomes evidence. In that environment, removing Andrew from shared appearances reduces risk. Christmas at Sandringham functions as a visual anchor. The royal walk to church, the familiar faces, the sense of generational continuity all reinforce stability. Andrew's presence would disrupt that message. His absence preserves it. This exclusion extends beyond a single event. Andrew and Sarah Ferguson will not attend Sandringham at all. There is no alternative arrangement that mirrors royal tradition. There are no parallel family gatherings receiving coverage. The result leaves Andrew outside the framework entirely. What elevates this moment is timing. This Christmas follows renewed scrutiny, ongoing public discomfort, and growing pressure on the monarchy to demonstrate judgment. Palace officials understand that tolerance reads as endorsement. Silence reads as approval. Distance reads as action. The king's approach reflects that understanding. While he remains personally attached to family members, his role requires separation between affection and representation. Inviting Andrew into royal Christmas events would collapse that boundary. Avoiding the invitation preserves it. The message also addresses the future rather than the past. Andrew no longer holds a public role. He no longer represents the crown. Christmas appearances would undermine that separation. Removing him confirms permanence. Observers note that this year's exclusion lacks the ambiguity seen before. There are no trial balloons, no partial allowances, no signals of negotiation. The absence feels final rather than provisional. It reflects a settled decision rather than an evolving one. This clarity also serves another purpose. It reinforces boundaries for others within the family. Inclusion now depends on public credibility and institutional alignment. Tradition alone no longer guarantees access. In royal culture, omission often speaks louder than statement. There has been no formal announcement outlining Andrew's exclusion. There has been no press briefing spelling out consequences. The absence itself performs that function. Christmas functions as a mirror. It reflects where each figure stands within the royal hierarchy. This year, that mirror places Andrew outside the frame entirely. The removal carries symbolic weight because Christmas represents renewal. Exclusion during that period signals that restoration remains off the table. The institution has moved forward without him. As the royal family prepares to walk, gather, and photograph their way through another festive season, Andrew's absence reshapes the narrative. The question no longer centers on whether he will return to shared appearances. The focus shifts to how the family manages the fallout of drawing such a visible line, and that leads directly to the next layer of the story, where the consequences of exclusion extend beyond Andrew himself and begin to shape the choices of those closest to him. The most revealing consequence of Andrew's exclusion appears through the choices made by his daughters. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie occupy a difficult position within the royal structure. They belong to the family by birth, remain close to the king, and yet carry a surname burdened by controversy they did not create. Christmas forces that tension into view. Both sisters received invitations to Sandringham. That detail matters. The king has made a clear effort to separate nieces from their father's situation. Their presence affirms that distinction. It signals continuity of family ties while drawing boundaries around responsibility. In palace terms, this separation protects the future without reopening past damage. Beatrice faced a narrower path. She also received an invitation to spend Christmas at Royal Lodge with her parents. The timing added pressure. This festive season is expected to be the final Christmas Andrew spends in the house. Choosing Royal Lodge would have carried symbolic weight. It would suggest solidarity at a moment when public scrutiny remains intense.
It has been a scandal that the royal family have this year taken their own action to try to shut down. In October, he was forced to stop using his titles, the king then going even further.
Choosing Sandringham would carry its own implications. Appearing at the royal Christmas alongside senior figures could invite interpretation. Optics matter. Photographs circulate without context. A single image can overshadow intention. Beatrice's decision reflects awareness of that reality. She chose a third option. Beatrice reportedly traveled abroad for a skiing holiday with her husband and friends. No family appearance, no competing symbolism, no forced alignment. The decision removes her from the visual narrative entirely. From a strategic perspective, this choice avoids framing. She neither stands with her father nor appears within the royal Christmas tableau. Absence becomes neutrality. In the current climate, neutrality offers protection. Royal watchers describe the decision as pragmatic rather than emotional. Beatrice has spent years navigating scrutiny with restraint. She rarely speaks publicly. She avoids controversy. Her actions reflect an understanding of how narratives form and how quickly they solidify. Eugenie's position carries similar complexity with subtle differences. She attended the king's pre-Christmas family lunch at Buckingham Palace. That appearance signals gratitude for continued inclusion. It reinforces her relationship with the wider family and confirms alignment with institutional priorities. Her Christmas plans remain less visible. What stands out is recent distance from Royal Lodge. Neither sister has been photographed there in recent weeks. That absence communicates caution. Sources familiar with family dynamics describe ongoing contact with Sarah Ferguson. The sisters remain close to their mother. She functions as an emotional anchor rather than a reputational risk. Their relationship with Andrew, however, requires calibration. The distinction matters. Maintaining contact privately differs from appearing publicly. Public proximity invites interpretation. Private loyalty carries fewer consequences. The sisters appear to have drawn that line. This shift reflects broader changes within the monarchy. Younger royals face different pressures than previous generations. Public patience has narrowed. Social media amplifies perception. Silence offers limited cover. Every action receives interpretation. For Beatrice and Eugenie, survival depends on credibility. Credibility depends on distance from controversy. Distance demands sacrifice. That sacrifice carries emotional weight. Andrew remains their father. Family bonds do not dissolve through strategy, yet the institution shapes outcomes. Remaining close publicly risks long-term consequences. Creating space preserves future options. The sisters' choices also mirror guidance from within the palace. Senior advisors recognize the need to safeguard the next generation. Encouraging separation allows Beatrice and Eugenie to retain standing while Andrew continues to face isolation. This approach reflects a quiet recalibration rather than rejection. No public statements, No confrontations, no ultimatums. The message unfolds through absence and alignment.
They emailed Gary Bloxham, Andrew's solicitor, to arrange a voluntary interview in relation to their investigation into...
Observers note that Beatrice's marriage has strengthened her independence. Her husband operates outside royal structures. That freedom expands her options. A skiing holiday appears ordinary, yet within royal context, it functions as deliberate withdrawal. Eugenie's approach appears more cautious. She maintains visible ties with the family while limiting exposure to controversy. That balance reflects careful judgment rather than indecision. Together, the sisters illustrate how the monarchy manages legacy. Responsibility transfers through distance rather than confrontation. Reputation stabilizes through restraint rather than defense. The emotional cost remains implicit. Christmas traditionally gathers families together. Choosing separation reframes the season. Yet within royal life, tradition bends under pressure. Their decisions also reinforce Andrew's isolation. The absence of daughters during the festive period deepens the sense of retreat. The family structure contracts around him rather than expanding. This shift sets the stage for the final chapter of the story. As family connections thin and public rituals continue without him, attention turns toward the physical space Andrew occupies and what happens when that space disappears. Because while relationships define identity, place defines permanence, and Andrew's place within the royal landscape faces its own reckoning. The final signal of Andrew's separation from royal life sits behind the gates of Royal Lodge. For nearly 2 decades, the house functioned as both residence and symbol. Located within Windsor Great Park, Royal Lodge carried status, scale, and proximity to the crown. Living there placed Andrew inside the physical heart of royal territory even after public roles disappeared. That connection now unravels. This Christmas is expected to be his last at the property. The long-term lease has been relinquished. Preparations to vacate are underway. The process moves slowly, yet the direction remains clear. The house no longer represents permanence. It marks transition. If you're finding this breakdown useful, subscribe and stay with the series. New material continues to surface, and this story is still evolving.
His proposed new home on the Sandringham estate, where he has historically joined them for Christmas, just increases the spotlight, though, on the royals, especially after this photo emerged of him lying on women's laps taken inside Sandringham House.
This shift carries more weight because Royal Lodge has long stood apart from Andrew's public controversies. While scrutiny intensified elsewhere, the house remained a constant. It offered privacy and continuity. Losing it removes a final layer of insulation. Visible details reinforce that sense of ending. In previous years, Christmas decorations appeared reliably at the gates. Wreaths, a tree, and seasonal displays signaled life inside the property. This year, those signs are absent. No decorations, no visible preparations. In royal culture, such omissions carry meaning. The absence suggests more than neglect. It suggests detachment. Packing replaces celebrating. Closure replaces routine. The house reflects Andrew's internal position rather than resisting it. Sources familiar with the situation describe Andrew as withdrawn. His daily rhythm has narrowed. Time passes quietly. Television fills hours once structured by obligation. Social circles have contracted. Invitations have faded. The seasonal energy surrounding the property has dissolved. Sarah Ferguson's presence complicates that picture. For years, she and Andrew maintained an unusually close arrangement despite divorce. Their shared residence created a narrative of resilience and adaptation. That arrangement now faces strain. Reports indicate Sarah is seeking separate accommodation. That shift confirms change rather than tension. Long-standing patterns reach natural conclusions. Living together no longer serves either purpose or image. Friends describe Sarah as determined to maintain momentum. She gravitates toward projects, social engagement, and reinvention. Her resilience has always functioned as armor. Yet even resilience meets limits when structures collapse. Andrew's experience contrasts sharply. Without role or platform, movement slows. The house once anchored him. Losing it compounds dislocation. Biographers suggest that a small farewell gathering may occur at Royal Lodge. Loyal friends could visit before departure. Such moments offer closure without publicity. Yet even those gestures carry finality. Others describe a quieter outcome: boxes, documents, and accumulated possessions awaiting decisions, the weight of downsizing, the reality of transition after decades of stability. Royal Lodge also functions as a mirror of institutional choice. Allowing Andrew to remain there indefinitely would blur boundaries. Removing that privilege reinforces separation between private existence and royal association. The monarchy's priorities appear consistent. Visibility matters. Association matters. Space itself becomes symbolic. Physical distance reflects reputational distance. This approach aligns with broader reform. Public polling indicates demand for accountability and restraint. Younger audiences scrutinize symbolism. Maintaining appearances risks erosion of trust. Removing privilege stabilizes perception. For Andrew, that shift leaves few remaining anchors. Family gatherings no longer provide cover. Property no longer provides shelter within royal boundaries. Tradition no longer offers protection. Christmas amplifies that reality. The season highlights belonging through gathering. Andrew's season unfolds without those rituals. No Sandringham walk, no shared photograph, no visible connection to the institution that once defined him. Instead, there is a large house nearing departure. Empty gates, unlit decorations, quiet rooms filled with history rather than future. The monarchy moves forward through repetition. Another Christmas walk, another set of images reinforcing continuity. The absence becomes normalized. Over time, omission turns into memory. Andrew's story reaches this moment without spectacle. No announcement, no confrontation. The institution does not explain itself. It proceeds. Isolation replaces controversy. Silence replaces defense. Distance replaces negotiation. That outcome answers the larger question without requiring words. Reintegration appears unlikely. Christmas functions as the final delimiter. The royal family has chosen clarity over complexity. Andrew exists outside the public frame. His daughters step carefully away. His residence closes its chapter. The institution recalibrates around survival. And with that, the story settles. A royal Christmas defined by presence for some and absence for one. A line drawn without ceremony. A future shaped through exclusion rather than forgiveness. The silence surrounding Andrew this season says everything the monarchy needs to say.